Hello, dear friends. Here we are, 21 days of empowerment, redefining money. Oh, yes, here we are. And this is day 17. We are almost there, but not yet. Today, we're going to enter a new chapter of the book Money through the spirit author Emmanuel through Chico Xavier. Yes, and this is chapter 16. Chapter 16 is titled Paltry Sum, like insignificant sum, meager sum, small sum. What is this all about? As we are learning to redefine money, learning more about every single situation and issue that is tangent, that pertains and belongs to the topic of money and wealth and richness, poverty, and everything else, the whole 9 yards. Emmanuel, as a wonderful educator, kindly shares with us immortal lessons. Lessons that if you acquire now, you can carry to immortality. So this is an investment on your soul. Yes, friends. And before we begin, because this is a therapeutic conversation, we always want you to feel welcome, because it's a live online classroom. You know, physically we may be distant in different continents, but truly we're in one big classroom, because we are where our minds are. So we're now closer than we can imagine. So let me say hi to everyone who is here. And if you're watching us and you don't want us to say your name, that's fine. But we're going to say hi to the friends whom we can see the names. And it's an opportunity for us to feel this closeness. It's very important, this human feeling. And Jesus is here with us. He wants to speak. He had the microphone on him, but he's so kind. He's saying, Vanessa, go ahead, say hi to the classroom. Why not? Fun is fun, as our dear Carol Correa says. And here we have our dear Adilson, hello, and Andrea, hello. Would you clap your hands? Dun, dun, dun. Here we are. And Rihanna, South Africa, how are you? And here we have Adilson from New York. Just so some people ask me, where's everybody from? So, you know, they're from God, but they're now living in different parts of the world. We have here Adilson from New York, United States. Andrea is in Chicago, right? Am I right, Andrea? Chicago, the area of Chicago. Rihanna in South Africa. And Fred, here we are. Fred from New York, United States. Valéria, hello, Valéria Benfica, Brazil. Right? Cesa, you are in New Jersey. Am I right, Cesa? Beautiful. And Rosemary, hello, my friend. I'm not so sure where you are at this moment. If you want to share, please feel free. Dear Sunshine, Sabine, Beck, thank you. It's a joy to be with you. And I know you are in California, more like in the Sacramento area. Danny, my friend, with the beautiful Erika, Cousins of the Heart. They are now in Pennsylvania. Katya, Connecticut, am I right? Leah, Florida, right, Leah? Julija is in Australia. Julija, I've got to know of Suzette. Maybe you know her. She sent us an email. And it's wonderful to have this beautiful community in Australia. Angelita from New York and Mozambique. I'm saying this because I know your heart is also in the Mozambique area, helping all those beautiful people and children with the Fraternity Without Borders effort, right? Rudy, New York. Rudy and Rosemary in Boston. Yes, you're right. Cesa, thank you for confirming New Jersey. Katya, Lyndhurst, New Jersey. Thank you. Yes, so André is in the Plains, Illinois, near Chicago. Here we have all of us, friends, having this opportunity of together immersing ourselves in this feeling of the scriptures. As Jesus said in his conversation with Nicodemus, reported in the book Good News by the Spirit author Humberto de Campos through the medium Chico Xavier. Nicodemus, it's not enough to know the scriptures. You forgot to feel them. But Master, we did not. We are here ready to feel the joy of your happiness. So here we have Fernanda from Brazil and Julija. Thank you, Julija. Melbourne. Oh, good for you, friend. Oh, okay. I'm going to send you the contact because this is another friend who got to know of Spiritism as well, and she wrote to us due to Kardec Radio's efforts and would like, and is building Spiritist efforts there. Friends, ready? What is the optimal state for us to enter this therapeutic moment? The optimum state is of openness, like the apprentice who came to the Buddhist monk and master and wanted to learn, but he was so full of so many concepts that whatever the master would have given him would just spill all over the place. So the master kindly, in an analogy, pouring tea into a teacup, he showed the apprentice that we only learn when we empty ourselves out. So let us empty ourselves out by reading it. Now we're empty? Yeah. You see the secret of breathing, it's to empty ourselves of the things we don't need any longer. Now we're ready for Emmanuel. Emmanuel, please enlighten our minds. Paltry sum. The large and the bright temple of life keeps its doors unlocked. The world is vast and earth is prodigious with blessings and gifts. Sporting cities that are temples of progress, fields that are areas of light, springs that represent vessels of living water, flowers that are scattered adornments on the planet where our souls move in the paths of evolution. On the immense orb, some offer to progress and to the betterment of humankind major missions of religious faith, of administrative politics, of science and philosophy, in the intellectual glow of culture and intelligence. There are those who offer the enhancement of love to the grace of the home, the affective care, the brightness of the art, and the greatness of the refined feeling in the works of benevolence and tenderness, which set new chapters to the elevation of life. We cannot, however, forget the sublimity of the apparently tiny collaboration of those broken, afflicted, and anonymous hearts who bring to the general good the simple contribution that they can give. That is a smile of understanding and encouragement to an unknown fellow. That is a timely word that uplifts the spirit of a friend who is dashed in despondency. That is a hidden goodness that assists without demanding compensation. That is a blessing of fraternal concurrence that puts out the fire of gossip. That is a fraternal gift of friendship without selfishness. That is a supply of the heart that sustains others without noise. We always have, in such wonderful contributions, the precious paltry sum of love. In each one of us dispenses one similar penny in everyday life. Let us rest assured that soon we will have gathered for our happiness an infinite treasure in the high spirituality. Filling ourselves up with the nourishment of these words. Here we have Emmanuel inviting us to appreciate and value the tiny contributions, the tiny efforts of collaboration from people who apparently don't seem to look like they are going to end up doing anything good. But what they can give is actually more valuable than the millions that wealthy and healthy people can give, because what they're giving are coming from the extreme effort of their souls. Yes, this is the sum of it all. Let us go back and first and foremost ask ourselves, how much do we value the little we can give? For example, when you don't have much time to talk to a person who is in need of talking, do you value a few minutes? Often we refuse to give ourselves the opportunity to listen to people's problems because we think, well, I don't have much time. But maybe people, it's about quality, it's not quantity. If we listen to them for a minute or 5 minutes, it's more valuable than spending an hour and not making that useful at all. So let us ask this therapeutic question for us as a thermometer for ourselves. Do we really value the little of our contributions, whether financial or emotional, spiritual? Do we really value it? Or do we always take for granted even our own contribution, our own collaboration in regards to the needs of others? Thinking that only when we do a major project, then we're going to impact the world. Do you value the paltry sum of your contributions and of your efforts? Yeah, today no scale, yes or no? Yes? No. Sometimes? Can we value a little more? Can we put more importance on it? Because if we don't value in us, we're not gonna value it in others. When people make their efforts, we're always gonna think that they need to give more, that they should have given more. And these expectations are gonna fail us in our relationships. After all, we are born and reborn yet again to master relationships with ourselves, with others, with God. Everything's about relationships. So, valuing the minor contribution is very important. From the perspective of God, we've come to know that for God, everything we do useful, small or big, has the same value. Because people give what they can give. For example, Emmanuel, in the last chapter of the book Thought in Life, chapter 30, talks about God. Let me quote from him, because no matter how much I know the words, reading directly from him is so precious. He says, The Lord loves the lowly worm and gives the worm many thousands of centuries to rise from the slime of the abyss, just as much as he loves the angel who represents him. So for God, the usefulness of a worm in the arification of the soil of the earth is as valuable as if somebody would medically treat a sick patient and be the instrument of promoting the healing for the patient, saving the life of the patient. It's equally important. That's what it is. Because the worm, that's what the worm can give. And that's what the physician can give. They're equally important in the proportions of what they can do, in the abilities that they can exercise. How many times we look at people in our lives and we're expecting more of them, not valuing that they're giving the best they can give for the moment because that's what they can give, but we're not valuing it. We're always expecting more. And by expecting more, we fail our relationships with our children. Always looking at them with the eyes of the lack instead of looking at them with the eyes of the sum. When we seek the good, feel the good, visualize the good, we mold our lives to the good with all the resources we have at hand. Do you think we can do more? Valuing the apparently insignificant contribution or collaboration of ours and of others? Do you think it's possible? Let us go back to the text. Meanwhile, hello friends, Monica with Daniel Castellani. I know you're in New York, right? Aidan, you're New York too, Aidan, right? João Bosco, New York area, and Melissa as well. Beautiful friends, beautiful community. Here we have Emmanuel in this chapter 16 is poetic. He begins by bringing us by the heart. It's as if he put a hook and is fishing for our enchantment, because that's that's nice, Melissa. Full Force, New York. So here we have Emmanuel poetically bringing us to appreciate the apparent insignificant, the apparent and insignificant contribution, but he's going to reveal to us. He's bringing the major reference. He says, the large and bright temple of life keeps its doors unlocked. Because you remember, when Jesus mentioned about the widow who entered the temple and gave one tiny bit of contribution, he said she gave more than the other ones who got in and had a lot of money and gave even more money. But relatively speaking, the little contribution, the paltry sum, the meager contribution of hers were more significant because she gave everything she had. Big question for you and I. Are we giving off everything that we have? Every week, we go through 168 hours, 24 hours, times 7 days, 168. how many hours of this 168 do we devote ourselves to others? Ideally, one day we will devote 168 hours of our day to others. Meanwhile, we're learning the discipline of using time and saying, God, you gave me time. Time is not mine. Time is not money. Benjamin Franklin learned it. He repented and he became a spiritist spirit and helped the team with Jesus to write all these teachings in Kardec's books. Yes, go read the prolegomena of the book, the Spirit's book, and you see his name there. Oh yeah, he repents, said, forgot, it's not about money. Time is divine. It's not money, it's divine. Well, money is also from God, so at the end of the day, he was right. Time is money, but money is from God, so time is divine. There you go. We got it. So the question is, the temple of life is open. Large and bright. Temple of life. We enter. The world is vast. Earth is prodigious in blessings and gifts. Progress in the cities. Fields, springs, flowers, adornments. And our souls evolving. Life is rich in the universe and on the earth. And on this immense orb, many. So he's talking about the paltry sum, but he begins talking about the abundance of life. See, as an educator, he begins from the right moment to talk about the little we need to observe the abundance. Life is abundant. The universe is abundant as the temple of life. Large. The universe is large. Infinite. And bright. Has many stars. Has many beautiful souls. And he says, in our planet, we have people, spirits, carnated, discarnated, who offer progress to better humanity. Missions, religiously speaking. And you see how universal Emmanuel is? He talks about religious faith. He doesn't say spiritist only. And that's very important for us, because oftentimes we are spiritists, and if we talk to people who are not spiritists, people say, go ahead, form another radio, because Kardec radio is talking to non-spiritists. And I say, as far as I know, it's just a name, because deep inside everything is universal. And we are bridging up the universality of the teachings, showing to the world that what Kardec brought to us is being studied and exercised by minds everywhere in this world. When we go and read the gospel, Kardec was so wise, he wrote the gospel according to Spiritism, but in the introduction, he makes sure that you and I understand that those teachings are not divisive. They are all-encompassing, because they are bringing teachings that are universal. The Christ consciousness is not something that belongs only to those who name themselves Christians. Christ consciousness brings a set of rules and principles that are universal and divine, and not necessarily only to those who label themselves Christians. And he says, what we're going to say here is something that is validated by mediums in every corner of this world, though the world doesn't have corners, but we understand everywhere in this world. So he's saying here, and Emmanuel repeats, missions of religious faith. Administrative politics. And I'll give you an example. Yesterday, Saturday, we interviewed a Buddhist. He's not restricted to Buddhism, but he learned in Buddhism. Master Charles Cannon, he wrote this book, Living an Awakened Life, Lessons of Love. Amazing as it is, as an American living in Virginia, he said that he felt this awakening in connection with Mother Mary. But later, she guided him as a voice. So he could find his training through a monk. And through that pathway, he brought and bridged up the universality of the teachings. When you talk to him, you revisit a lot of the concepts that Kardec brings to us. And that's the beauty. We're recognizing that these teachings are universal. You can listen to Kardec Radio and listen from him. The lessons that he shares with us are very in tune with the teachings of the spirits. Because the spirits, they don't label themselves spiritists. Because in reality, spirits are spirits. And spiritists are those who study the science of the spirits. Right? All right. So let's go back. He says, in this abundance, we'll find people with the missions of in politics, in science and philosophy, intellectual and cultural growth. For us who are seeing a major shake-up in our world, trust that there are missionary minds everywhere, securing the progress of the earth. We're not alone. We're not alone. There are those who offer the enhancement of love. Where? At home. You know, those beautiful moms and dads. Moms and moms, dads and dads, partners who take care of their family with devotion and love and grace, as he's saying, brightening the lives of people, caring for one another. So precious. The brightness of art, right? People who devote themselves to the fields of art. And they work every day. People don't know them. But they brighten up in the lives of so many. And works of benevolence and tenderness. When you think of, for example, Divaldo Franco in the Mission of the Way, Divaldo becomes the leading force in the material plane. But without the help of Uncle Nilsson, who is now discarnated, but was there full time, and a lot more people who teamed up with him, he wouldn't have completed the efforts of the Mission of the Way. It takes a teamwork effort. Everybody doing their part. But we need a sense of teamwork and humility to be able to join in. Because Emmanuel is going to say, in spite of the abundance of the universe, he says to us, we cannot forget the sublimity of the tiny collaboration of whom? Of those broken, afflicted, and anonymous hearts. Who are they? Who are they? They are the presidents of spiritist centers everywhere in this world. Oh yeah. Because often they have their afflictions. Often they are anonymous. Often they are the ones who have their difficulties, but they're there giving their contribution. The world doesn't know. The past givers in a spiritist center. Those who give the water, who clean the center. Who contribute with the fundraisers in a weekly basis by cooking. Those who go and sing for the elderly ones in the nursing home. 'em. 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 Yes. But they are giving their contribution. I'm not gonna go and sing. People, I'm not good even at singing. But if you don't sing, if you don't join in, the choir is not gonna be as good. Yes, I watched a beautiful episode of My Little Pony cartoon, exactly about the tiny contribution. I'm amazed about how these teachings are everywhere. And there was a cute, beautiful little pony named Fluttershy. She's very kind and very soft. She's learning to fly fast. Yeah, because the little ponies fly in this cartoon. And the other ones are faster than her, and they need to team up to create a vortex of effort to make sure that they accomplish a certain mission. But they need to reach 800 in their meter. She's there, so every other pony goes there and flies and forms the vortex. And the ones that are controlling the meter, they say, well, we're reaching 795. And they look at her and say, go Fluttershy, you can do it. The 5 that we need, you can do it. And then she's like, oh, but what I can give is very tiny. My contribution is nothing. And they say, but Fluttershy, you can go there. If you don't do your contribution, we're not going to complete it. And when they see that the other ones are not making it happen, she encourages herself and says, okay, I don't think I can make it, but I will do my best. And she goes there, flies, and they show the meter. 96, 797, 798, 799, 800. They made it. They accomplished what they needed. And they turned to her and said, thank you, Fluttershy. Everybody else gave 795 points. She gave a 5. But thanks to her contribution, they were able to complete it. This universal message is even in a good cartoon. Thank God. Because if they waited for us, the spiritists, we would postpone for generations to reach the whole childhood of the world. So here we have, my friends, Emmanuel saying the importance of the tiny collaboration. Tiny. And Julija is sharing with us, hello, Fatima. Peanuts is also a good cartoon, talks about that. Am I right, Rudy? Julija is saying, I came across relative, very successful manager on a high position, having it all in his 30s. He managed to bring himself very close to a stroke. Doc gave him 3 weeks of work, and last night we talked. His main concern came up, like the fear of being satisfied with what you have. For him, that is equal stagnation. But he also sees having is not all. How many people are stuck in just more and more? Having that is never enough and never come to the point that being is more than having. Thank you, Julija. Thank you, thank you, thank you for sharing this beautiful story. Question based on Julija's beautiful story and what Emmanuel is telling us. How can you give more of yourself without feeling you need to have more? How can you give more of yourself? Let us ask ourselves. Emmanuel, to give us precise ideas, he's saying, I smile to somebody you don't know. A timely word that uplifts somebody. Hidden goodness that assists without demanding compensation. Oh, but I'm going to do this. Nobody's going to know. It doesn't matter. God knows, and that's all that matters. Right? And a blessing of fraternal concurrence that puts out the fire of gossip. You know when people say, but that person did this thing. Take it easy. Let's work on this together. You know, trust sometimes the person's not doing well. So give them a break. And he says, the fraternal gift of friendship without selfishness. That's deep. The fraternal gift of friendship without selfishness. Because sometimes we become friends and we want that person just for us. And we want to take up their time just for us. We don't want to share that friend with anybody. And that's very high school. But we're not in high school anymore. And if we are, it's time for us to grow up and spiritually say, I have a friend and I want my friend to be friends of other friends. And have his friends or her friends. And the supply of the heart that sustains others without noise. That's exactly what Divaldo Franco told me one day. People have a hard time helping others without making noise. You know, when you want people to help you, and they ask you, how can I help you? Just observe what people need. Go and do it. But you don't need to ask. Sometimes, zip it. Don't ask. Do what you have to do. Practice a little silence. We're so addicted to being verbal that we often have a hard time being with people and staying quiet. Because quietness begins in the mind. How can we practice quietness? Breathing in and out, thinking of God. Let's say there are 100 people here. Breathing in and out. God, I'm enjoying so much being here with these friends, with my friends. But I'm not going to make too much noise. We feel this compulsion to talk and to ask, to be invasive. Just be. As Julija is asking us in her story, let us feel like we are. Can we do it right now? An exercise? If you were browsing Facebook or everywhere else while we're listening here, stop for a minute, please. Or 30 seconds. I'm going to count here. A few seconds because I have a watch here. 30 seconds. Let us breathe in and out and commune with God in spite of everyone connected, okay? Starting now. How does it feel, friends? How does it feel? Practicing this inner communion with God while we are with everybody. And then we're going to be giving our contribution. Because Emmanuel says, the supply of the heart that sustains others without noise. Feeling the love, thinking of love. It's awesome, right, Fernando? Melissa? Staying still and communing. That was a very common practice by our dear master. That's why the microphone is with me and not him. Because he already supplies us with his heart without noise. We love you, Jesus. We love you, Jesus. You are so nice. Thank you so much. But I know the microphone is always with him, right? Hello, Rita Di Cassia. just being here, as Melissa is saying, is the practice. So, practice in this day we're gonna enter, which is gonna be President's Day, Monday, President's Day in the United States, day to pray for the president, right? And let us do this exercise wherever we're gonna be. Breathe in and out, and give of ourselves without making noise, even with the mind, the mouth and the mind. That's the proposal. Because he says, we always, listen to this, because Emmanuel is so loving. And I'm really puzzled when people used to say that Emmanuel, Dr. Bashar de Menezes was very loving, but Emmanuel was like a general. I'm so sorry. But as the more I read his books, the more I know how loving and caring he has always been. We always having such wonderful contributions. The precious, paltry sum of love. Insignificant, apparently, sum of love. If each one of us dispenses one similar penny in every life, everyday life, let us rest assured that soon we'll have gathered for our happiness an infinite treasure in the high spirituality. I feel like crying of joy. Do you? Because he wraps up this chapter by giving us the end point of this exercise. Let's not take for granted the tiny collaborations we can give. That can really be an opportunity for us to build a treasure for us and humanity for eternity. Right? Yes. When we come back, yes, Monday, God willing. If you're feeling elevated, be prepared, because that's the title. Chapter 17, Elevation. And he begins, do not forget that there is elevation according to the criterion of human convention, and there is elevation according to the divine laws. What is he talking about? What can we break down? João Bosco is saying the more love we give, the more love we have to give. Luiz, hey, thank you, João Bosco. Thank you, friends. Let us exercise this day the giving of our tiny collaborations, and we're gonna rejoice. Many blessings. Let us rejoice because the Master is guiding and leading the way. Until later, tomorrow.